hurricane, a tidal wave, essence perfect, life looks radiance, give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand.
Hello, everybody, and happy Sunday to you. Welcome to another edition of Point of View. I am Bobby Munson, and I am joined by my co-host, my partner in crime, my mate from across the world, but it feels like he's always just right next door. It's Mr. Mark Talks everything positive, almost everything positive. Anyway, Mark, how you doing this morning?
Tired.
Tired.
Very, very, very tired. After yesterday doing, excuse me, 2 shows, doing the interview with Astrid and then doing the SummerSlam post show, I've had to think about 5 hours sleep, so I'm sort of running on fumes at the moment. But I'm excited to be here and I'm ready to talk some shit.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we got lots that we could talk about. Remember, Chad, that if you have any topics you want to talk about, make sure to bring them up. You mentioned it, so let's talk about this first. You debuted your brand new program right here on OLE yesterday. It's Mark Interviews OLE, your first guest, Astrid Pizarro. I got around to listening to this whole thing through. Excellent show, by the way. All the praise to you for bringing this show to the table, and to Astrid for being a great first guest on the show as well too. What was that experience like for you? What were the highlights for you doing this very first edition?
The experience was a tricky one. Not in the general of the interview. Was my internet died as I pressed the intro. So the intro went about 3 loops too long because the internet decided to absolutely just stop working at the point of when I needed it. But no, I've always been someone who really enjoys interviewing people, getting to know them, their life. I've been with OLE now properly, shall we say, since January, and I've done naffle. So I wanted to, well, I've done stuff backstage, I've helped people out, I've done what they needed to do, and I've helped you out. I've helped everyone out that needed help or they just needed something. I've always been there. But I wanted to contribute something different that has been done, but someone that hasn't been done within the group. So I thought it'd be a good idea for the viewers at home, the people that watch on a regular basis, or people who are new, to sort of get to know everyone. And I thought the best way to do that is do that. And then as well at the same time, in the future, if there's any superstars or any sports personality or anyone that hasn't heard of us, they can see the way that we interview or the style of interview that we do, and it won't be too much of a shock when there's certain questions that get asked or there's certain things that need to be done. So it was very much of loved it, enjoyed it. Highlight for me was trying to break Astrid into crying. I was so close to getting it done.
Very close, a couple times.
I was so close a couple of times to getting it done. But no, and I think if the people were able to go and see it, they would see what a wonderful person she is and what she brings to the table, and her future is so bright in the wrestling industry. And I'm excited to see where she goes moving forward, doing the heck of a lot of stuff that she does.
I couldn't agree more, and everybody can go check that out. The replay is available right here on OLE's YouTube channel. Make sure that you always subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and give the videos a thumbs up. Leave comments as well, too. Again, just because it's in post now doesn't mean you can't leave a comment. So leave a comment. We check them out. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. And always keep it positive, people. Mark, speaking of the interviews, you've got a couple more coming up here very shortly. Give us a quick preview. Who do you got coming up, and what are you expecting from those 2 interviews?
So next up is the 12th of August, and we've got Andre coming on from Andre Melpour's Japanese show. And then also the Saturday after the 12th, so the 17th, I will be having Melbourne on. And basically, if you haven't seen it and you don't understand how I interview, the way I interview is we talk a load of crap and we have a laugh, and then every so often we put some serious stuff in it. But it's all about getting the person on the other end to relax, is to enjoy. This is not serious. This is something that if there's a serious topic, we will. But this is all about you guys at home asking the questions as well, and the people watching to get a bit more experience. But I mean, I'm excited for the next 2. I'm trying to book in the one after that, but the person is not replying, I think on purpose. So I'm trying to. You could probably guess which one that is.
Oh, I've got a pretty strong guess on who that one is.
Yeah, that person is not replying. But we've got one that's been booked in for 2 that have been booked in for September. That I've got. I'm trying to do this weekly on a Saturday. There is one I'm really excited to do, and I just hope that this one will go ahead in September. I will give it a little hint. It's a she. It was at SummerSlam yesterday, and also she's very good friends with Trish Stratus. So, and I saw her
You've given it away for me.
Yeah, giving a hug to CM Punk as well last night as well. So it's very much of that's the one I'm looking forward to deep dive into what she does and how she does it. That one I'm really excited for. But we've got loads of people inside of OLE that do stuff that 2 of them are refusing. 3 of them are refusing to reply, and I'll tell you what, I will get a reply out of them at some point.
Just be persistent, they'll crack.
No, I will. By the way, if you're watching this, Ed, answer your DMs, you plonker. Thank you.
That's fair. Hopefully he trickles in here eventually and you can just tell him live, but he probably tired as well too. I'd imagine it was a late night for you guys and everything, because SummerSlam was on yesterday, and again, the post show can now be seen here on YouTube, so make sure to go check that out. We won't dive deep into it, Mark, but I think both the consensus, it was a fun show. Gunther
Loved
won, so that trumps everything. Plus, that match was so good. Oh my God, was that a great matchup? Like, all things aside, Priest lost, but man, did he win in so many big ways last night. He looked the most convincing he's ever looked. He looked like someone who could have beat Gunther last night. The way they put him over last night is the way that Priest needs to look going forward, because that Damian Priest, I already like the guy, but that Damian Priest is a goddamn beast.
Absolutely. I think we can take this away that Dirty Dom is probably the luckiest man that has ever existed on God's green earth.
Until he gets stomped like the cockroach that he is coming up.
He's not a cockroach. He's an absolute legend. And I will say this, and I said this last night. I will say this last night, and I will say this again. Dominic Mysterio's work, from the guy that first started WWE to the guy that's now, is just phenomenal. And I think the word is around from Tom Colohue, who's a wrestling news journalist, one of the most reliable people you will see on the internet.
100%.
And I was going to make a dig at someone then, but I thought he's already gone in my DMs and had a go at me. I don't want another one. Sean Rossap. So with Tom, he's saying WWE are so high on Dominic Mysterio right now that they can see him being world champion. And you know what? The performances that he's been putting in, I can 100% see in that. The score. Do you know what he reminds me of, right? Is his in-ring work has got so much better. His character work. He's going to be that when Seth Rollins had like the J&J security type world champion, where he will just cheat his way all the way through to keep that title. I do want to see him as champion. I think he would be a great champion on the brand, and I think he would be excellent at doing it. And I'm so thankful that the performances he's putting in, and he makes you want to hate him. He's so good at making you want to hate him that it's just perfect in the work he's doing. Now, he's going to get absolutely annihilated by Rhea Ripley and by Damian Priest, but at the same time, it's going to be so much fun to watch. Just the way Dom squirms around and does it, and the new Judgment Day now, I think we can say, with Liv Morgan being at the helm of the new Judgment Day, with Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor and JD McDonough, where does that leave Carlito? Who knows with him at this point? But Gunther, your new world heavyweight champion, and do you know what? And I know this is not going to happen. I just want him to beat Roman Reigns' record of just beating everyone. Just beat everyone. You turn up in TNA, beat all of them as well, and then go back to Raw and carry on beating them. But it's not going to happen. He'll lose that at WrestleMania, or beforehand. He'll lose that to Drew McIntyre. But what a SummerSlam, and it was just a lot of fun. And I will say this as well. I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant, a little bit of things, but I want to give little props here. People have been saying about him, and I want to give him props. CM Punk, for a guy that's hardly wrestled in a year, not his last one-on-one match was All In, AEW All In last year. To come back into a pressured situation where all eyes are on you because of where you've been, what you've done, and the talk that you have been given, to come back in and do a job. Not only that, put Drew McIntyre over and keep a storyline fresh. I like that. And props to Drew, props to CM Punk, and let's see how this goes. But more importantly, Bobby, did you see the clips after him going over to Stephanie McMahon and burying the hatchet with that? It seems that CM Punk, for a person he is, the flight risk he was, or could potentially still is, has found his home. He was never comfortable when he went back to AEW, but for some reason he just feels, I don't know how you feel, but to me it feels like he's in a place where he's mentally fine. Everyone's there to help him, and he's just relaxed.
Yeah, and here's my truth on CM Punk. I never was big into CM Punk when he was around or anything like that. I was never a yay, let's go Punk fan. I know the guy can give you quality in the ring. I'm not ever doubting the ability that he can sell, that he can wrestle and stuff like that. I just never was really on the CM Punk bandwagon. I know that him leaving the way he did, pipe bomb promos, all this kind of stuff, led for him to get over AF kind of thing. And then him leaving for as long as he did created this mystique about him. When he came back into AEW originally, I was like, for AEW's sake, that was a great get. That was something the other company couldn't get. It was a great get, but it was topsy-turvy from there. Again, he is obviously clearly at an age now where injuries are going to stack up easily. He seems to be a little bit more injury prone than some other wrestlers are. Everything that led to what it did in AEW, I don't necessarily hold him at fault the way other people do for what happened there. I think there's a collection of people causing fault. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just saying he is a player in what was a lot of different boys being idiots at the same time, and he got caught up in it. And he has a different way of handling it than your average backstage worker does these days, kind of thing. That led his prompt return to WWE. Again, it created media buzz. And again, no matter what I think of a person, sometimes what they can do for a company in terms of an appearance or a match or whatever is phenomenal. And the whole thing the Dub's done with him since then, injury or not or anything, the whole thing with Drew, the best thing to come out of this is Drew McIntyre is the best Drew McIntyre we've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is the most entertaining Drew McIntyre we've ever seen. He's hilarious, but in a way that he's a complete prick. But I'm there for it. And again, Punk put Drew over last night. Like, I didn't love the outcome. I would say this was probably the one I was least interested in when it was executed as a match, not because of the work that these two guys could do. It just the whole outside of the ring for long periods of time and a lot of focus on Seth as a referee more than on a one-on-one match when these guys have never locked up. I understand the stipulation and shit like that because these guys already had heat throughout this whole situation kind of thing. So it made sense. It just, I think the execution didn't fit right with the rest of the show because I feel like this ended up being my least favorite match of the entire night. Yeah. I didn't hate it by any means. I think with the whole build that these two had, it kind of came across like it didn't have that same kind of fire in the finish as what it's had throughout the entire feud. And the focus became more about the end game with Punk and Rollins than it did about finishing the story between Drew and Punk first. I think it all tied together. It ended the CM Punk. Well, I don't think it's ended it, to be fair. I think this is probably the beginning. This is like the middle end where I think it will then end with CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. But I do think that the story this was not for a wrestling company, this was not a wrestling match. This was a story match. If you understand what I mean by that. This was never going to be about what Gunther and Damian Priest did later on. They were never going to be able to do that. And it was never going to be like this. It was more of the same with Liv and Rhea. That was more of a story match than it was a world-class wrestling match. So, but I agree with you as well. And also, Ed has woken up and he has replied. So, yes, by the way, if you don't look back at what I said, Ed, I do love you. But yeah. And I was kind of shocked by last night too. And this, I don't want to focus too much on SummerSlam. We'll get to some football talk here right away. But one of the shocks I had was that they put both championship matches on as the last two matches. Now, I'm all for world titles, headlining shows and stuff like that, but it felt odd putting one after another in that sense when you could have divided it out a little bit more, in my opinion. I think that there was something about this that could have been done differently in terms of the way that the order of the matches were put together. I love the opening matchup, and yet feel that one could have gone on at a different point, and you could have maybe even gone Gunther and Priest first if you wanted to go for good opener matchup.
Yeah, but then you
quality.
couldn't have done the Finn Balor turn because it would have not made
True.
any sense.
Yeah,
so
this is
I
true
feel like,
too.
But then I feel like the order of it was the whole Judgment Day thing.
Yeah,
Was you had the Rhea Ripley losing and cost by Dom Dom, the GOAT of WWE, and then you then went on to
jackass
the
of WWE.
backstage where they went all looking for him, and then it then led to Finn Balor tweeting out this morning, and I've got it here. And he just tweeted this morning. Wait, I've got to find it. I'll put it on in our Discord. I woke up in a good mood by Finn Balor this morning. So, but it's also as well. We talked about this last night with the Judgment Day. It's funny how the two people kicked Edge out of the Judgment Day were the two that kicked out again. Finn Balor's the only one standing. So I'm interested. I think I'm really intrigued now how they do this. But Dirty Dom getting all the TV and fucking loving it.
Here's the thing, like Priest and Rhea being kicked out of the Judgment Day is simply because they're too over as baby faces. At this point, you have to, because they make the Judgment Day the good team because of their connection with the fans. If you want to bring it back to a Judgment Day that people hate, you've just done the right thing. You kicked them out. You made Dom the most hated individual in all of WWE right now by being the scummiest little jackass on the planet and everything. That I can't wait to watch Mammy rip that greasy little mustache off of his face.
Don't diss that.
I'll be dissing. I'm dissing hard. I don't care.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That man is God's creation.
No, he's going to be God's greatest crushed man when Mammy gets her hands on him.
It did make me laugh, though, about 20 minutes after that match. Buddy Matthews, however you want to put it. TK, let me out of my contract for one match. Let me go for one match. Mummy needs help or something like that. And I was like, now that's something. But I was thinking this when he tweeted it. I went, well, you ain't got long anyway, because your contract and Aleister Black's contract runs out at the end of the year. And they'll both be back in WWE anyway. So, yeah. Just leave it out, and then you can get your revenge near WrestleMania.
Yeah, he sure could. And they know how to stretch stories out. But taking our focus away from SummerSlam, because again, everybody can go and check out that full in-depth post show that you did with Ed and Astrid last night here on the channel. Let's talk a little football, Mark.
For sure. We're going to talk football, but can we just talk about Roman Reigns?
Okay.
How does that man not age? Like, even with a little bit of grey in there. I full on had a man crush when he turned up with that big beard. And I was like, oh, man, he is perfection, isn't he? Anyway, you can carry on talking about
okay, well, speaking of perfection, Jacob Fatu better be selling to perfection because I am still worried about that boot that he's wearing on his foot.
He smacked that table. He volleyed it when he landed. He volleyed the corner of that. Of all the land, I think he'll be fine. He's Samoan. They heal within 5 minutes. They got that Wolverine blood in them, so they'll be fine.
I also think, I don't know, like, to have him going and already doing interviews and stuff like that, and he's wearing a boot around, but nothing really official has said Jacob Fatu's out for a long period of time. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a little bit of trolling going on in this situation. Like, it's not as bad as they're selling it as, kind of thing. And I'm praying that doesn't mean he misses War Games, because good God, I might want to watch that. Like, I want to watch Jacob Fatu in a War Games match.
Can we just talk about the aura that he has? Like, I've never watched him before. You know this. People will probably not know. I've never seen him before. I've seen clips of him, but never watched him. But when he hit that table, and then he was screaming at Solo, and Solo's face was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll do exactly what you say." That's a tribal chief. Solo, and I said this last night. Solo deserves every respect for changing his character on as quickly as what he has to being one of the most hated men of it, bringing in the young bloods to be in the bloodline to change it forward. Solo has done an absolutely exceptional job, and he deserves all of the props for it. But Jacob, we all know the plan is Jacob Fatu will be the head of the bloodline, and if he's going to be the head of the bloodline, God help anyone that is in. If I was a WWE wrestler and Jacob Fatu come my way, I'd go, I'm all right. I'll retire now. I'm fine. I don't need this. I don't want this. I really don't. And that I call it the prettiest moonsault ever, because it's the same thing as what Tiffany Stratton does. How does he fly? Like, Tiffany sort of floats backwards and it sort of connects. Like, she's upright and straight, right? When she does it. When he does it, he sort of just flies. And if you could be anywhere in the ring and that man's going to find you, it's just, he's world. I think I said this to you, and I've said this to other people. WrestleMania 42, he will be world champion.
That's a good assessment. See, Papa Smokes and I have been saying it for years. Jacob Fatu is the absolute best at making things look like they really hurt, but yet he's doing it in the most safe way possible. Like, he protects himself and his opponents, but he still makes it look like it hurts. Jacob Fatu is not the tallest man on the planet by any means, but you wouldn't argue if someone told you he was, because the way he acts big and he acts scary. He acts the way the Wild Samoans did, that the Head Shrinkers did, like the Samoans of old kind of thing, where it's like they've got the hard heads, they're wild, they're you know out there to hunt and stuff like that. They don't care about people at all. As far as they're concerned, you're a hurdle in their way, and that's the way Fatu makes himself look so big like he does and everything. The one thing they haven't really shown people yet, and this will shock people, is they've allowed Jacob Fatu to talk very little, but the man can talk. And if you ever want to listen to this guy be 100% real, it's probably still available on YouTube, but MLW did a whole sit-down interview segment where it's Jacob Fatu actually back out on the streets where he grew up and stuff like that, sitting in front of one of the local shops and stuff like that. He's sitting there just having a cigarette and a drink and stuff like that, and they're interviewing him about his life, about going to prison, stuff like that. But he talks about when in prison is when he saw his cousins, the Usos, on TV, and thought that's how he needed to turn his life around, that maybe wrestling was for him. He always had thought it wasn't. He spent a lot of time at Uncle Rikishi's house. He talks about how they used to have the trampoline near the pool, and that's what Uncle Rikishi had him doing, was doing the moonsaults off of the trampoline into the pool, and that's how he got so good at making that hang time perfectly and knowing exactly what spots to hit and everything like that too. So it's an amazing sit down that MLW did on him and everything like that. So if people really want to know a little bit more about the Samoan werewolf, I would really highly recommend going and checking that out, because it was when MLW was at the height of MLW being as good as it was, and doing these segments was great. They did them for Fatu, for Hammerstone, and it was Fatu's by far was the most intriguing of every single one of them.
Yeah, I think I might go and have to watch that, because he is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
100%. And if he is hurt, then like you said, Wolverine blood, he'll repair in no time and be right back out terrorizing people. So go get him, Fatu. Truly believe in you. Anyway, let's go over to the football edition part of Point of View here, Mark. I want to start it off. Let's give an update. You got some Reading news since the last time you were on the show, I'm sure of that. So let's talk Reading FC. What's been going on in Reading FC's camp?
Well, we had our final preseason game, because our league season starts next Saturday. Our first game of the season will be starting next Saturday. We had our final preseason game yesterday against QPR Championship Club. We're in the division below, and we're beating them 2-0. We've only lost one game during the whole preseason, and that was away at Cardiff. It's been an absolutely unreal preseason from Ruben Sellers' men to get ready for this season. For a guy, we're still the only club in the 92 that hasn't made a signing. The ownership is not fully done yet from what we've been told and what we've heard. And I'm just... there was a bit of activity. So in the UK, we have a thing called Companies House. So in Companies House, it is where if you have a business or you're planning on creating a business, you have to register it through that. You have to. It's a legal combatant for you to do in the UK. What's happened is the former group that were going to try and take over the club have now changed the names on it to this guy that is very close to signing Reading, which means that this deal could be done in the next few days for it all to be signed, sealed and delivered for us to have a new owner. Once the new owner comes in, we can only sign free agents and loan signings, but we've got a good enough youth academy and we've got no depth at the moment whatsoever. We need, I would say, a left back, maybe a centre back, backup centre back, right back, maybe midfielder, a backup striker, a winger. We need about 5 or 6 plus signings or free agents and loanees that need to come in by the end of the transfer window. But it's not as negative because we have had a really good pre-season. And we're going into this game next against Birmingham, who are recently relegated and spent so much money this past transfer window. If you don't know who Birmingham City are, their new owners, their co-owners are someone and Tom Brady, former NFL legend. He is a part owner inside of Birmingham City, and they're trying to get promoted first time of asking. And if you go down to League One, it is so difficult to get back out. Look at Portsmouth, Derby. It took them 4 or 5 years. It took Sunderland about 5 years as well to get back out. It is one of the hardest leagues to get out of from it. And Wrexham are spending money as well with the team owned by Deadpool. So I'm interested to see how this season goes. I'm predicting now, touch wood and whistle, that if we don't have any points deductions, when we get the new ownerships done, no points deductions, we get 5 or 6 players through the door before the end of this transfer window, I would say we're finishing playoffs, top half to the playoffs. That's where I see us finishing. If we don't get it done, then it will be just the bottom half to the top half. I see us having a very inconsistent season, but who cares? Because I've got my season. I'm getting my season ticket soon with my daughter. I'll be going to every single home game. It'll be her first proper season with a season ticket as well. If you don't know, a reason why I haven't got my season ticket yet is I refuse to give it to the club while the owner is still there. So when he's gone, even though the money doesn't really go to him, but I still refuse to give them any type of money while he's still there until he's gone. And when he goes, the day he's gone, a lot of money is about to be spent on that football club. So, yeah, for me, it's just I'm looking forward to the start of the season, looking forward to proper football being back, the League One action where we don't have international breaks. International breaks mean nothing in League One. You still play league action fixtures and you just go on from there. So proper football's coming back and I'm excited.
Yeah, it really is. And again, because obviously I'm a Manchester United supporter, our preseason technically is now done, aside from the Community Shield, which is kind of the prelude to the opening of the actual season. I'm worried. I'm very, very worried, Mark, because preseason did not turn out to be good at all. We're racking up injuries again. I'm starting to wonder what is wrong with Manchester United's training, because it doesn't seem like other teams are facing this same set of injury problems that seems to be plaguing Manchester United all the time. So at what point does the club look at this and go, there has to be something. There has to be something that is causing this. What is every other club doing that is allowing them to have their players, like at least a good majority of them, at full strength? Yet we sign Lenny Euro, injured in his first appearance for Manchester United. Rasmus Højlund, young kid, comes in last year, had multiple injuries last year, has already picked one up this year, like, with a hamstring, going to keep him out for a while. We are in defender crisis. And yesterday we send off Wan-Bissaka, who is subject to a bid right now that we need in order to sign new players at Manchester United. We sent off Johnny Evans. Who cares? But again, once we run out of defenders, I might care a whole hell of a lot more at that point, because we are starting to get to that point where we don't have anybody. We have nothing. We're going to be looking straight up to the youth at this point in time. Like the actual U16 team is going to be getting call-ups here before you know it at this rate, because Manchester United is going to have nothing left. We need to sell in order to sign, and everybody who's subject to a bid right now seems to be taking their sweet ass time. We've got 3 signings in principle right now, agreements made between the players. It sounds like we've got one incoming at the subject to a medical, according to the news. But again, we need a midfielder, and I know Ugarte is on their radar right now, and I think he has agreed in principle to the terms for Manchester United. But again, this comes to, they need to make a deal with the club, and the deal with the club isn't going to be made until they can sell somebody like who do you sell? Like midfield wise, they want to sell McTominay, but the bid's coming in for McTominay. I don't think I would sell McTominay for. At least McTominay gives them something a little bit, more than what other players are giving them at the moment. I just don't see it with some of the players out there. I really don't. And I'm struggling, because I want them to do well against Manchester City this coming Saturday in the FA Community Shield. I really do. But I have that same worry going into that match that I had going into that FA Cup. Yes, we won the FA Cup, but I think I'm even more fearful of it, because, say, for example, Joshua Zirkzee is signed, but he hasn't linked up with the team yet. Kobe Mainu has been on break right now because of the Euros, hasn't joined up with this current team yet. So while these are players, well, Kobe Mainu is brilliant. Zirkzee, we haven't even seen what he can do. It's not like this is going to have had the time to fold out and plan out and get that plan that Eric Ten Hag needs in order to show that the faith in him by Manchester United is warranted. And that's what I'm fearful for the start of the season, because on top of facing City in that opener, okay, Fulham and Brighton we've got coming up, they can cause problems. I'm not saying we're going to walk all over them by any means. I'm not going to get confident like that. But then the game after that, September 1st, we have Liverpool. And Liverpool beat us to 3-0. 3-0 yesterday. We got beat by Liverpool. Tom Collahue's team walked all over us yesterday. Yes, Tom, you got the win on that one. As we say good morning, hello to Astrid Pizarro. How are you doing, Astrid? Thank you for coming in and joining us, and thank you for being part of the shows yesterday. But yeah,
you got annihilated. Well, actually, you didn't. You had 18 shots compared to Liverpool's 9, and you had 8 on target compared to Liverpool's 5. But they got 3 goals. You've got knout.
You can have 100 shots on target. If none of them go in, it really doesn't matter.
No, I'm literally looking at your pre-season friendlies. Where is it? Matches here, and you beat Real Betis 3-2.
Yep.
You lost to Arsenal, but then beat them on penalties. Makes sense. That's American matches for you. And then you beat Rangers 2-0. And then lost to Rosenborg 1-0 as well. So not the great. And then your opening matches are horrific. You got Fulham at home. Fulham have made some decent signings. Tony Khan's actually pulled his finger out of his arse to help Fulham with that one. Brighton you're gonna struggle because they've got a new manager, they've got a new signings. They're going to go back to the way that they used to do before, and you're
Yeah.
away from home at Brighton. That's gonna. Then you've got Liverpool, Southampton, Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
If I'm a Man United fan and I'm being realistic, I would say your first first 5 game of the season, first 5 games of the season, realistically, I would say you'll get 2 wins, maybe a draw, and 1 draw. I don't see you beating Crystal Palace. I don't see you beating Liverpool. The draw may come against Fulham, but you're at home, so you probably will win that. I don't see you beating Brighton at all at this precise moment. And Southampton, I see you beating because I fucking can't stand Southampton. So,
Hey, that's where my family's from, motherfucker.
yeah. But the team, on the other hand, if you understood the hatred we have for Southampton, Reading fans and
Everybody,
Southampton fans
every
don't
team has
like
a
each
hatred
other.
towards Southampton.
No,
Let's
no,
not
no.
kid
We
ourselves.
really don't like each other. We really don't like it. But we like them more than Portsmouth. So that's even
Yeah,
better.
well,
But then you've got,
I told you the
I'm
funny
looking.
story that I was born of someone from Southampton, the other from Pompey.
That is not a great combination. That is not.
why,
But then
why
have
do you
you
think
seen
I'm such
games
a
after
stubborn
that?
prick?
Yeah, that's very good. That's very. Then you've got Spurs, Villa, Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester. Your fixtures are horrific.
I
You
know.
have
It's
no.
like,
You have
this could be
no sort
the
of like
death of Eric Ten
easy.
Hag as manager.
I'm looking at that fixtures, right? And I'm going to go quickly, keep scrolling down. I'm going to go through them all. He could be out of a job by February.
Oh yeah, like, but in my opinion,
Because
if he
I'm
hasn't
looking
turned this
at the
team
signings
around,
you've got, because
Yeah.
yeah, no, go.
oh sorry, I was just gonna say if he hasn't turned this team around by the time the January transfer window opens, that's when they need to say, okay, sorry, done.
Yeah.
Like, I think they put their faith in him because, again, lack of options and maybe not wanting to have to put the team through another manager like they have in the past. It seems like every time the manager has one bad season, they're dropping him all the time. And this time, again, that could have happened to Sir Alex Ferguson at one point in time. If they would have dropped his ass after his worst management season at Manchester United, we wouldn't have had the legendary Manchester United under Sir Alex that we all remember. So let's keep in mind, while I haven't fully gotten on board with Eric Ten Hag having a plan game-wise, maybe something will break. Maybe some of the signings that they're going after that they've got in principle will land and immediately fit into the team. I don't believe so. I'm basically grasping at straws as a fan, hoping that this is the case. But I do believe you're on to something with the whole, they're going to struggle, especially right up until the window opens in January. It is going to be a struggle. And unless, Eric Ten Hag and company have a trick up their sleeves that's going to turn this team around immediately, I fear they're going to be looking for a new manager come January.
Yeah. Just trying to look here. There was something I missed yesterday. I always have notifications on for Fabrizio Romano because it makes me sound smart when I talk to people that I know exactly what's going on. But with him, he put out, where is the tweet? Where are you, tweet? Come on. I just had you and I pressed the button and it's a West Ham, by the way, making absolutely incredible signings. So they're going to be, especially on a Julian Lopetegui as well, they're going to have a different season as well. But Manchester United are both working on Mazzari and De Ligt deals with the same agent Pimenta. Mazzari and De Ligt have both agreed 5-year deals with Manchester United. Mazzari wants Manchester United. Here we go. Manchester United have held talks with Rafaela Pimenta for both De Ligt and Mazzari. Mazzari wants Manchester United, but depends on Wan-Bissaka's future. United and Inter have offered Dumfries Wan-Bissaka swaps by immediates and also considered Vanderson. So West Ham are interested in Wan-Bissaka, and you're going to have to sell him. Apparently, the signings this summer from West Ham have been unreal, and especially with Villa as well. And Newcastle being very cautious with their signings, going young in this pre-season as well to try and get it done. But it's just United are not there. They needed to get more. They didn't need players in. They needed players gone, and they haven't done it. Rashford's still there. You've got There's just too many players to go through from it. Injuries are going to be a problem. If you get De Ligt and Mazzari, that's a great deal. You still need a defensive midfielder and a central midfielder. You've got Jadon Sancho back now, who can play with Garnacho as well.
And he's playing.
And he's playing as well, and he's happy.
There was some young highlights too from our preseason. Let's not kid ourselves. Amad Diallo came out, looked brilliant when he played. He's in question for being included at times with the starting 11 kind of thing, or at least as a substitute coming in. Also, Harry Amos in left back position at 17 years old really stood out. He's still got a lot of work to do, but again, considering the racking up injuries in our defense right now, Harry Amos might be called on at some point in time because we may need him. We may need him at this point. So there is some highlights in that sense. One thing I have said is our youth has been great. I'm glad they're going in a youthful direction with Manchester United. That's why I'm like, I hope the talks of Adrian Rabiot drop, because he can be a brilliant player. I just don't think he fits the mold of what we need going forward.
You don't want him.
I really hope that it's not true, because I'm like, he's 29. That doesn't fit the mold. Like, we wanted to go young. Like, I want Manuel Argante. I want that guy linking up with Kobe Mainu in central midfield. If they can land those
talks have gone quiet quick. Like,
they're still on the table.
It's dead. It just seems like there's no talk. But we're talking about West Ham here, and because I'm intrigued by their summer signings, because I'm actually in love with what they're doing. You got Wes Foderingham that's going to come in with a backup goalkeeper to Aurelio Romero. Aurelio, yeah, that's it. And then they've just brought in an 18-year-old from Brazil, Palmeiras, Luis Galmier, absolute wonder kid, winger. Then you've got Somerville from Leeds, 22 years old. You've got Max Kilman. They've also just signed, where is it? No, not here, up a bit, here. They've just signed Felix Füllkrug from Borussia Dortmund, who was the German international at the Euros for Germany. And he was the one who played just recently in the Champions League final for Dortmund against Real Madrid. And Guerrero Rodriguez, who's signing on a free from Real Betis. Fuck me. And then, unbelievable. And then you've got Conor Gallagher, who is close to leaving Chelsea to go to Atletico Madrid. It's just ridiculous. The clubs that are doing stuff here today, Newcastle are one that I think are going to be a little bit of a sleeper horse. They won't have Champions League football this season. And I feel like I'm going on their page now just to have a look if it will let me fucking load.
Yeah, you bet. I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second so we can say good morning and hello to our good friend Basser. What's up, Basser? Thanks for joining us here on the show.
Don't worry about it. My computer just died on me. So, yeah, it's completely just shut itself down. So for me, I'm very much looking for this Premier League season. If you go like Manchester City put Salvinio in, who is going to be unreal. Jack Grealish has had an excellent pre-season for Manchester City. Haaland is going to be back being fully fit as well, so that's scary enough. Arsenal have just brought in a left back, I would say, who was playing for Italy at the Euros recently with some of the luscious hair I've ever seen on a man in my life. The Italian Jesus by the looks of things. And then you've got the Liverpool haven't made a signing at all, but do they need to? They've got depth, they've got it, but I think they do need a couple. But it just seems like that Arne Slot has gone, let's have a look at what we've got. Let me see how things are going. And then when January comes, we might do something. They need to be signing Trent down to a long-term contract. Apparently, it is reported somewhere that he could be signing a £350,000 a week 5-year deal at Liverpool. If not, he'll be at Real Madrid. Virgil van Dijk is coming to the end of his contract, so is Mo Salah, so it'd be contract season for them. Chelsea are what I feel like Chelsea have done, they've gone to Brazil, they've gone in and they've got a net, and they've just picked up every single Brazilian wonder kid and just walked away from it. right, and gone, this is Football Manager. We're going to Brazil just to get Wonder Kids, and that's it. But Manchester United, out of all the teams that have been promoted or in the Premier League, um, and even Reading haven't made any signings, then I would say I'm more confident in Reading than I am Manchester United. They just don't look good. And also, people do say you must be sick in the head to see Manchester United's downfall. And all I can say to that is, so it's nothing against Bobby. It's just the fact of when I went to Manchester, they were fucking horrible. So, and also Spurs as well. When I went to Spurs many moons ago when they were at the old White Hart Lane, someone threatened to stab me. So a Tottenham fan who walked past me, so I don't like them either. So yeah,
English football fans, there you go. Aren't they wonderful?
it sums it up, doesn't it? It literally just sums that up perfectly. There is no other way. If you had to explain English football to someone else, and you go, "How would you explain it?" It's that sentence I just said.
Pretty much. Life threatening.
So Newcastle have signed John Ruddy, Lloyd Kelly on a free, both of them on a free. Vlaudemus from Nottingham Forest, the 30-year-old goalkeeper, and Lewis Hall. But they've signed some little gems here and there that no one's talking about. They've sold Elliot Anderson. They sold Jakub Mashia to Brighton as well. I don't know what it is, but Newcastle going to be a bit of a threat. So with Villa going to be difficult here. Shall we do? Because next week, right, I'm going to either be really happy or really angry after the Reading's first league game of the season. Do you know what I think we should do next week?
What's that?
As a bit of fun. We should predict our 1st to 20th in the Premier League and then keep that somewhere. And at the end of the season, if you still like me and you haven't kicked me out of OLE,
Not happening.
we should go back to that and see how close or how far away we were from it.
Okay, I'm down.
It could be a
Draft
bit of
it
fun
up
to
and
do.
let's make it happen.
Mhm.
So, as we say hello to Fred. I hope it said this. Swiney. Please tell me
Sweeney,
I
yeah.
pronounced tell me I pronounced that correct, but I apologize if I didn't.
How do you
Wanted to
feel
know
about
how you feel about Newcastle being a bit boring.
Newcastle is the place or the club? Because the place.
Let's hear both.
is-
Come on, opinions on both.
Opinions on both. Newcastle as a place is one of the most extraordinary fun times I've had in my life.
Okay.
They drank me so far under the table that I still don't know how I got back to the hotel room. Right. So I'll tell you a quick story. When Reading was the second time in the Premier League, I went up to Newcastle for the weekend, and we got told from certain people down south, don't go into local pubs. They won't let you in. They won't tell you around. And we were like, whatever. We walked into a Newcastle local about 3 hours before the game, and we met this group of Newcastle fans, and the banter was brilliant. So much good laughs, having a chat, and we all agreed at the end of the game, no matter the result, if we got destroyed or they got destroyed, we'll all come back and meet each other and have a drink. We lost 4-0, and we went back to the pub, and it was the best time I've ever had outside being at a football match. They were brilliant, brought drinks, we had a laugh. Newcastle Football Club, they don't need to spend stupid amounts of money. They can't. FFP is screwing them over. They signed Lewis Hall, which they needed a left back and a backup left back and probably a mainstay left back. He's going to grow into a role. He's only 19. And then they've got Vlaudishin, the goalkeeper from Nottingham Forest, who's going to be the backup to Nick Pope because they lost Dubravka, who I think has left on a free agent, and Karios as well. So they needed a backup anyway. So they've got John Ruddy to come in to be the third choice at 37. And then they got Vladimir's he's Benfica, isn't he? Former Benfica goalkeeper who then went to Olympiacos and then went to, if I've got this right, I was so close. He was Panathinaikos, not Olympiacos, then went to Benfica, then went to the Nottingham Forest, and then Newcastle. I was so close. I'm actually so impressed with myself. I got the wrong Greek club. Anyway, But yeah, Newcastle absolutely tremendous, and I love the tune up the tune man. Why tune pet? That's my Geordie for you.
For sure. Fred now asking, yeah, they are, or saying, yeah, they are a bunch of loons. Prediction for United this season: top 4, any silverware.
No,
I could pray, but I don't think so. Again, I mean, I said that last season. I didn't think there was going to be silverware, and we pulled the FA Cup out of our asses. But
do you know what you can do, Fred? Tune in next week because we're going to be doing our predictions of the whole of the league. So tune in next week, and you will see where you think me and Bobby are going to put them.
I also think that we can place this one with caution, because if the signings land that they're going after and they fit in, and I think it's dependent on things like Rashford getting over whatever slump that he's managed to get himself into. If he can get out of that slump, the position they choose to place Sancho in and actually put some faith into Sancho as a regular starter for the team. The dynamic of the players that come in with the players that they know they need to keep there. And I think injuries improving. I think players staying fit is going to be a key factor to whether or not we have a hope in hell of top 4. I think better yet, that all those factors are going to be a factor if we hope in like hell to make top 5 is even a better thing to say. And I might be swinging at the fences there. So we will talk more about that next week for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to give away where I think, but
yeah. Upgraded defense, very key. 100%. We need the defense there. And, you know, again, I was just reading this morning that the takeoffs from yesterday, I think Evans was taken off because he was ill, is what I'm understanding. Lindelof because of caution more so than anything and stuff. So some of those ones coming off weren't necessarily because we're going to get long-term injuries, but man, to go get Lenny Yoro like we did and have him go off like he did. And, you know, we see Rasmus go out like he did already kind of thing. And then those injuries start racking up. It's fearful for the start of the season, but we need some players landed in and we need them to fit in right away. We need Xerxes to go out there and fit in right away when he plays. We need him to show up. We need him to play the best he's ever played in his life, because right now we need goals. We need a lot of goals, and we need them fast, especially if we want to get to what we're saying, top 4 or even silverware contention. Because here's the tricky part. As much as United can try and put things together, it's going to take time. And the other part is there's a lot of teams and they're fucking good. They're really fucking good. And that's the part that scares me.
At this moment, if you ask me, without the signings that they could potentially make, I don't see them being in the top 6. At this moment, I don't see it. If they get into the top 6, then we were a better side, and I think not clinical. Thanks. Your reflection will be tuned in for now. Red Devil since 01.
Yeah, awesome.
So you've had the glory days.
Yeah, well, I mean, again,
days.
I started watching regularly, would have been in the 90s at the, you know, the height of Becks and Scholes and, you know, stuff like that. That was when I started tuning in. My brother became a big fan of David Beckham, so we started watching Manchester United regularly. But again, I grew up in a family that has backgrounds at Southampton and Portsmouth, so those games were watched at times. But we watched it. It's football. We watched football, basically. Like, we watched matches from all sorts of teams. And even internationally, we just watched football. If you could find it on television, we watched it. Even like right now, like,
you just
wife and I have
Italian,
been watching.
French.
We've been watching the Canadian women's team with the Olympics right now, and oh my goodness, has that been an adventure? Talk about that, like spying on people, being deducted points, 6-point deduction at the beginning, only to still come through with 3 victories in the group stages and get through to the knockouts. They're fighting for it. Those women are fighting for it. Canada's got a good women's team, and their defender that scored the 2 winning goals in the last 2 matches. Damn. Like, just it's been awesome in that sense. I feel bad that they suffered the 6-point deficit because of idiots doing idiot things.
Yeah.
Because that's not the fault of the players on the field. But I am, as a Canadian, I'm proud of the fact that they fought back against that and came out victorious and are still holding on to medal hopes, I believe. Anyway, I haven't checked recently if there's been a game I missed or anything like that, but I'll have to check today.
Can I just be immature for a sec? Just for 1 second.
just for
I
the
wanna
1
be-
sec. Okay, we'll let it
Just-
slide.
Chelsea have signed someone called Caleb Willie. Anyway, moving on. I've just seen-
that's
I
that's the joke.
That is it. I saw it. It made me laugh. I needed to say it, and that is it. I'm
Awesome.
not getting any more into it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. At this moment,
But I also wanted to do a quick, thank you to Fred as well too, because Fred saying I'm going to tune in from now on. I really appreciate you stopping
man.
in, commenting, keeping that chat active. That's the thing about
Fred,
football.
I'm going to give you a challenge. I'm going to give you a challenge for
Oh,
next
okay.
week.
Here we
Fred.
go.
When you come into the comments, I want you to also predict in the comments as well where you think live, not in afterwards. So you've seen it and they can try and tell us something. I want to see you live, and I want you to. We're going to say 20th. We're going to give it a second, and then we want to see what you put, and then we'll say what we put. Let's put a challenge out there to everyone to come in and see how close we get to everyone, where they think everyone's going to lie in the league table next season. But yeah,
I love it.
give
I
you a
love
little
it.
bit of change.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Fred saying y'all in the States, neither of us are actually. So I'm
No.
born and raised in Canada, but my parents were English. And of course, Mark, right from
I'm
England.
from Reading.
himself.
I'm from Reading, England. The greatest football club in the world lives here.
we're
I like
we're
football
okay with him
clubs,
saying this on the show right now because of them being 2 leagues below, so we don't have to worry about it
Yeah.
just yet.
When it gets to the Premier League, it's going to get interesting.
That'll be a total facelift to the way we conduct our business here.
Absolutely. The ego I will have, I will turn into Arsenal fan TV at that point, doing that. But no, it's good. I'm about to turn into Mark Goldbridge, who just not even from Manchester, doesn't turn up to games and comments on other stuff. So yeah.
I think you just made a new
Thank
best
you.
mate right here.
See, this is why I love Fred. Fred is now my favourite commentator of all of them. Yeah. So thank you, Fred. Lovely to have you in here.
Well, Fred wants just clarification again on the challenge.
Okay. So the challenge is next week we're going to be doing our Premier League table where we think it's going to be 20th to 1st. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So what we're going I pause then just for all the immature people out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 20th, and then everyone's going to put a comment in of who you think is going to be 20th, and we want to see how many you guys line up with ours, and let's see how close we all are, and then we can debate through them all and have a chat about it and do it. But I think bottom half. I already know a surprise. I think will be in the top 7, 8. Next. My table, I don't think is going to be right, but I'm going to go it off the signings that I think have made the biggest impact with the manager they've got. So Fred's going to be there. Love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I think that's going to be a great challenge, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to predict. So I'm looking forward to it, Mark. It's going to be tons of fun. We are just past the 1 hour mark here on the show, so I will say we get to the point of winding down, but give you the opportunity to have the floor if there's anything else you want to talk about before we call it a day.
No, I don't think there's anything else.
Okay,
Dominic,
well, before we do,
let's go.
STG just jumped up in the chat. First time here doing the football talk with us. Favorite teams? Mine clearly
You were in the chat
Manchester
last
United.
night, if I'm right, weren't you? SCG, you were in the. Were you in the chat last night for the Rumble or for the questions? I can't remember which one it was, but I think I saw your question pop up a bit. Nice to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Football teams.
STG's been on a lot of shows lately.
Yeah, I support the greatest team in the world, which is Reading Football Club.
And
yes, you were.
I support Manchester United, but here's where we can unite as brothers in arms. Here is we're both England supporters, so there we go. Yeah. But just
the annoying thing is as well. the annoying thing is as well, because you supported England. Now I look out for Canadian results, and it's really irritating me. Like I've never done it before. I've never done it before, and now I'm like, oh, Canada's playing. Bobby should be watching this. I'm like, why am I caring about Canada? What's going on here? Even though I really want to go there. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He needs help. He
Yeah.
needs help.
Oh,
Maybe
STG missed who you're a supporter of.
I'm a Reading fan. Reading Football Club, through and through. Reading till I die.
But yeah, no, that's who we cheer for. And again, STG, you know, even if you've never watched before, we've got a challenge on the table. I know Fred's going to be participating, and if you want to join us next weekend on Sunday, we are going to take the English Premier League table for this season, and we're going to rank where we think each team is going to place. So we're going to be calling out number 20, who's going to get last place, number 20, and we're going to give one of the teams. Mark and I are going to participate, and we want the chat to do the same. So if you want to take a look at the Premier League table and just randomly select where you think teams are going to land, love to have you come join us next week as well, too.
Be fun. Be lots and lots and lots of fun.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, Jesus. We got a problem here, don't we?
To be fair, if you put Manchester City fourth, I'd worry for your brain.
Well,
After what is about to happen.
It is difficult as a Man U fan to ever say anything nice about Man City, but Pep Guardiola has been a brilliant manager for them, and I won't deny that.
Absolutely. The GOAT of coaching.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
Chelsea have 3 assistant managers.
Do they?
Yeah. Anyway.
Honestly, being a Liverpool supporter is frustrating. Played so well and in the race, then sunk fast. They'll get back there. I don't doubt it for a minute. They've been working towards it. They'll get back there. It's one of those things about football. You can be right at the top and end up a mid-card team for a while and bounce back. It's been the best part about it is when I started watching, you essentially had your top 4 teams, and that was the top 4 teams always battling it out for the top 4 spots. Now it's so bloody unpredictable that it makes it more exciting. It is a lot more exciting to be able to see all of the teams fighting and giving different reasons to be out there and play and different styles, and that turning into exciting football instead of being like, well, we've got one of the top 4 teams against the bottom teams and we're going to see a 6-0 result here today. Again, we're past that. It's a lot more of an interesting game when you get to see a lot of fight between teams, and that includes the teams that maybe others haven't heard about as much going up against the big ones. So I'm looking forward to the season, despite the fact that I fear for my team. I fear for my team going into it, and I can't stress that enough. But we will talk more about that next week for sure, as we're predicting the Premier League. But right now, Mark, tell the people in the chat, where can they find you? What do you got coming up, my friend?
What have I got coming up? The next, not this Monday, the Monday after, the August the 12th, I will be interviewing OLE's own Andre, and the Saturday after that, I will be hopefully interviewing Mel Ball as well. But on this is on OLE. On Mark Talks Wrestling, we've got tomorrow. It will be the first ever time me, Bobby, and Lauren have sat down to do commentary for a WWE 2K24 game. It is the Royal Rumble week. We're so close to coming to WrestleMania. We are only, how many? 3, 4? I think it's about a month. I think WrestleMania's in about a month, if I'm right. I could be. Hold on, I'm gonna work this out now because it's gonna irritate me. But while I do that, I'll let Bobby talk while I work it out.
Probably about 6 weeks is my guess.
Yeah.
Because you got two more premium live events that you got coming up along with the regular weeks on WWE 2K24 Universe Mode over on your channel. And then we'll have the build up to WrestleMania followed by the WrestleMania stuff to end the current season.
Yeah, it's 6 weeks. I've just got, so 6 weeks starting Monday. I think it will be till the end until WrestleMania. And by the way, we've started to book the WrestleMania card, and by God, these matches are ridiculous. So you're going to be seeing that. The Men's Royal Rumble will be coming up tomorrow. So that will be there. Mark Talks Football. I'm currently managing in Japan and I'm trying to win the Asian Champions League, the AFC, which is the Asian Champions League. Trying to win that before I go on to another club. It will be my final season. We've done 3 seasons in Japan. This is Unemployed to GOAT Challenge. I start off with nothing and I work my way to the top. We started off in South Africa. We've then gone to Japan, and now I'm looking to go to Americas, either South or North America, to do the MLS. I do want into Miami, just so the fact that I can have David Beckham in my thumbnail. That is it. And then on Mark Talks Gaming, I am playing GTA 5 in 2024, the story mode, and you will see how shit of a driver I am. I thought I was pretty good until I started playing the game, and I went, wow, I am woeful at driving. And doing Formula One Manager 24. You will want to watch next Sunday's episode because I have a full-on meltdown to a point where it changes the landscape of that save forever. So make sure you check that out and do that. But you'll see me on all the socials. I talk a load of bollocks everywhere, so make sure you check me out.
Awesome. As for myself, you can check out the ticker down below. That's where you're going to be able to find me and reach out to me. But as for what I've got coming up, as Mark mentioned, all over Mark Talks Wrestling, we're doing WWE 2K24. Happy to be a part of it as we are doing that Royal Rumble. It's going to be some insane commentary we got there. I'm sure it's going to be a load of fun. So check that out. We had a blast. We had a blast. But yes,
by the way, I want everyone to know at home, when we do draft videos, it is you don't see all of it, right? It is the most batshit crazy video you will watch because you have 3 different ideas of doing professional wrestling, right? 3 completely different ideas, and it is so funny how some of us get angry at some other people's picks. You need to check it out. But Bobby, and I will say this, Bobby's bookings have been immense, and so has AEW's as well. But there is a big storylines going into Mania, and you do want to check that out.
Yeah, we got some really cool stuff going on. It's been a pleasure to be a part of it. I can't wait to be a part of the fully fleshed out next season because we're building right into storylines for that, and the way it's developing is beautiful. Yeah. Again, outside of OLE, you can also catch me every single Saturday afternoon along with my partner in crime, the man with the angelic voice, Papa Smokes. We're going to be doing we do commentary for Prairie Pro Wrestling out of Saskatoon with a brand new match coming at you guys every Saturday afternoon on Prairie Pro Wrestling's YouTube channel. We are nearing the 1,000 subscriber mark very, very closely. We are only 60 somewhere less away from hitting 1,000. So if you do us a favor, head on over there and click subscribe. Make sure you do that right here on OLE as well too. Subscribe, thumbs up, notification bells on, because we appreciate that. You can also catch me on Thursday nights with Papa Smokes doing Ring Respect Radio, where we talk about the history of professional wrestling. We talk about independent wrestling, and we also have some fun nights as well too. Like we just had our trivia night this past Thursday, the WTF Do We Know About Wrestling trivia night. That's always a drunken fun success on Thursdays. But outside of that, I've got movie reviews, music reviews coming at you. I do have the movie Trap, the M. Night Shyamalan. What do we call it? I don't want to give too much away about my review, but if you haven't wasted your money yet, I will give you a sneak preview. Don't waste your money. But that review should be coming out this week for you guys. But yes, that's what you can find me, what I got going on. OLE, the ticker's been on all night long, but there it is once again. If you haven't checked it out, OLE, where we've got amazing content coming at you here on YouTube on a daily basis, from short form content to long form content to live videos such as this one right here. You can check out the replays of everything that we have that goes live, along with all the videos that are coming at you on a regular basis from a lot of amazing contributors that are here from all across the globe. Check them out, support everybody here on the channel, and thank you to every single one of you that ever spends a moment of time chatting, watching, and resending any of this stuff out and showing that love and support to what we do here at our local establishment. I thank you from the bottom of my heart and from everybody here at OLE. It means the absolute world to us. So thank you to all of you. That is going to be it for myself and Mark on Point of View this week. Join us next week for that prediction show on the English Premier League. Until then, everybody, take care.